Good afternoon, everyone. We'll give everyone another minute or two here before we start. All right, well, we'll let some other folks join here, but in the interest of time, we'll get this kicked off. The session is being recorded, so we will be saving it out to our website here shortly. So if you guys need to review it or share it with other folks in your organization, it will be available. I believe those that are on the line, I know most of you. Just in case you don't know me, I am Dean Della Bernarda, Customer Success Manager here at Mayor Group. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. Some of you may have been on a previous Velixo webinar a little while back, but as our client base has expanded, we figured why not bring them back again to demonstrate their tool. Given most people's comfort with Excel in both analytics and reporting, seemed like a no-brainer given our growth and how people are using the system and some of the needs that they've expressed to demonstrate this tool again. So Taliba, Duffy, and Jeremy are here from Velixo to lead you through the demonstration today, show you its capabilities, and answer any questions you may have regarding it. So just full disclosure, I know I've mentioned it to some of you, this is a third-party add-on, so there is a cost, and the Velixo team will be addressing that in their presentation today as well. So reminder for those of you who've just joined, the session is being recorded and we will share it with you via our website, hopefully not in the too distant future. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Duffy.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Dean, that warm introduction, and nice to virtually meet all of you today. We will be talking about our Excel-based reporting solution called Velixo today, where I will be using the first couple of slides to really walk you through the history of Velixo, how we came to be. Following that, we'll touch on some of the core functionalities all of you will have access to, but the major chunk of the webinar today will be dedicated to a walkthrough of the solution itself and show you how you can bring in all your data from Acumatica directly into Excel and have that ability to push and pull your data between Acumatica and Excel. But I always like to get started with highlighting and thanking the Mayor Group team for organizing this. We know how much time organizing these webinars take, but we really value our partnership we have in place, and we hope that everyone on the call today really sees the value in our Excel-based reporting solution. So that being said, let me just switch on over to the next slide. So a little bit about Velixo to get started is we're an Excel-based reporting solution that's been around for just over 5 years. In a very short period of time, we've grown to over 1,400 Acumatica customers across 25 countries. Our largest markets are the US, as you would all assume, followed by Australia, parts of Europe, South Africa, and then Canada, where our head office is located. A real attestation to our solution itself is by our founder, Gabriel Michaud. You see his image highlighted, and there's a good reason that it is highlighted, as number one, he's a software engineer. He's had over 25 plus years experience in the ERP space. He was one of the first Acumatica resellers, specifically within Canada, and working on the product development side, he actually worked for Acumatica for 5 years with the previous CEO, John Roscoe. And during his time there, he went on product demonstrations and he was able to understand a little bit more the needs of what customers are really looking for that they did not have access to at the time. And that really transitioned Gabriel into the belief that we have to find a reporting solution that allows customers to manipulate their reports the way they see fit, not having to constantly export your data anymore from your ERP, bring it into Excel. By the time you've manipulated it, it's no longer live, so you can't use it. So going through these mundane tasks over and over again. So Gabriel said, let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's work within an ecosystem or a framework that folks are already familiar with, and then create that ability to communicate between Excel and your favorite ERP. The first thing you all will see once we download Velixo for the first time, which is only going to take about 30 seconds to a minute, is that there will be a new ribbon in Excel called Velixo. When we click on that ribbon, you will see a drop-down of every single functionality that will go through one by one, such as the drill down, such as the write back functionality, various functionalities that we'll highlight in further detail. I do want to emphasize, we have created over 80, mind you, we're at over 90 now functions that will enable you to retrieve your data from Acumatica in real time. So this can be financials, this can be project-related data, and newest and greatest is generic inquiries. Generic inquiries is essentially going to open up the door for, operational reporting. So if you want to report on inventory, sales commission reports, anything that you have in Acumatica, you will be able to bring in to Excel. Two last items I want to mention. I think I already did, but just to be safe, all the data that you will see today is refreshable at the click of a button and everything is live. Now, we are the #1 rated solution in the marketplace. Very proud of that. So, I won't beat the drum on this slide, but if you want to take a look at some of the reviews we've received, maybe look at some of the pain points that customers had from a reporting standpoint, it's going to be a very valuable resource to take a look at after the call itself. And, if we do have some individuals here who become customers and are satisfied, we would love for you to provide us with a review. Last year, we did win ISV of the Year. This past year, we won Innovation Award. And I think in this last year alone, we've had over 600 new customers in the Acumatica frontier sign up with Velixo. This is going to be the second to last slide before we dive into the Excel-based reporting solution. And from my perspective, this is one of the most useful slides to be mindful of. Two pieces here I want to emphasize, aside from having pixel perfect reports, which is a huge value add for a lot of customers. The first piece here is that we have an unlimited user model. So if you yourself need access to Velixo, and then you have 1, 5, 100 other employees in your team who will need access to Velixo, you don't have to worry about paying an additional fee. The whole model behind Velixo is we want it to be an affordable solution that anyone in the organization can access. And talking about access, I want to dive into, the most important piece on this slide, which is we mirror the exact same access or permission rights that each individual user has in Acumatica to when they're trying to use Velixo. So if someone on your team, let's say, doesn't have access to any, budget screens, for instance, or budget-related data, when they're going into Velixo and they try to use these same functionalities, they will be restricted. So all you have to do is make sure that each individual is set up accordingly within Acumatica because it's an apples to apples comparison. With that being said, let's take a look at the last slide and just showing some of the customers that we work with right now. We weren't able to include all 1,400, but I just wanted to provide a depiction of some of the customers that you would be in the same boat with. I always like to hone in or touch on Acumatica as they themselves have seen the value in our solution. They've actually purchased Velixo for their own reporting needs. With that being said, let's dive into the presentation of Velixo, where we will spend the remaining portion of our presentation today. I will start off with the installation of Velixo because I want you to see how quickly Velixo installs. Your team would go through the same process if your team starts working with us. Your partner would send you the activation link. You would download this to your unique device, and then anyone else who needs access, you can just forward them off this link, and then we'll be able to get started. Velixo does work for Windows, it works for Mac, it works with Excel Online, so you don't have to worry about accessibilities. And you'll see Velixo is already installed, so let's just launch Excel and let's get started on our first worksheet. You'll see an image below here. This was actually from the Acumatica Summit a couple years ago. Great event if any of you ever have the ability or chance to attend that. We don't need to go through the getting started videos, but you'll see here, there's various pieces here. And, I always like to mention, we have a newsletter that goes out once a quarter. So we don't inundate customers, but it's very useful if you want to be up to date with the new functionalities that we're adding on, because we are constantly adding new functions into the Velixo. So first thing we're going to do today, as you already noticed, we've already downloaded Velixo, and you'll see that ribbon when I click on Velixo with the drop-down populate. We'll see the refresh all, connection, so connecting to Acumatica, drilling down into a unique transaction, sending out reports, pushing your data from Excel directly into Acumatica, some additional functions, and then support. The first thing that we will do today is connect Acumatica to Excel. So we're simply going to click on Connection Manager, and we will add our connection. At this point, I am just going to fill out my appropriate information, but you'll do the same thing for yourselves. So, one thing to be mindful of is the username and the passcode that you're using right now to log into Acumatica is the exact same credentials that you'll use to log in here. You don't need to remember another username, another passcode. I think we all have enough as it is already. Secondly, connection name, try to keep it as short as possible. You'll see as I'm building these reports out, we're going to be referencing this connection name quite frequently when I'm building these out with our formulas. Remember me, self-explanatory. And for those of you who are using SSO or Active Directory, you can fully authenticate with Velixo. There's no issue here whatsoever. And we have the steps that are available on our website. That being said, let's go ahead and connect into the Acumatica ecosystem, and you'll see just like that, we are connected. Cloud in green just indicates that we are in this ecosystem. At this point, you'll see I'm only connected to one given tenant. If you have multiple tenants or entities, you'll just add a second, a third, a fourth tenant, and you'll see you'll be able to consolidate from multiple tenants on one given spreadsheet. So there's no issues with that. I think one of our customers, KFC, they have over 35 different tenants, and they've been utilizing Velixo for just over 5 years. They were actually one of our first customers in France. Okay, with that being said, let's get into the foundation of Velixo. And I'm going to start off with just a simple trial balance. Following that, we will spend the remaining time going through a couple of sample pack reports, just highlighting how we've evolved over the last 5 years. All right, so we have our code, we have our name, we have our balance. First thing we're going to look at, chart of accounts. You can, go with a manual approach, putting these in one by one. Very daunting as a task. I don't think anyone here wants to spend, their hours doing this, and you don't have to with Velixo. You'll see right up top where it says Insert Chart of Accounts. When you click on that, we'll see our connection, so that demo connection we just referenced. Once we click on Insert, you'll see in a matter of seconds, not even a second, the entire list of your chart of accounts will populate. Now, this is a dynamic function. I do want to emphasize that. So you'll see as I click on the actual cell itself, it populated showing me equals expanded account range. This was one of those 80 functions that we've created. And it also means that your reports now are dynamic. As a whole entity, it is dynamic. So you can log out of your reports, log back in. You'll see this great refresh all icon. Click on that. Everything updates in real time. So anything that has been added, removed, or modified will update really in real time. Next, let's look for our account name. This is going to be using, it's the same idea as using functions that you use Excel for. If you already know Excel, you know Velixo. We've just added new function into Excel. So we'll type equals account name. Once you do so, you'll see a dropdown with the appropriate syntax. So if you recall, I said keep that connection name as short as possible because we're referencing it. It's asking us for the connection. It's asking us for the account. We want all the accounts. So let's go ahead and retrieve all those. Next, I'm going to look for, before we look for our balance, we'll put a few additional filters. All right. And we'll look for 12, 20, 20, and then I'll look for my actual now. Okay. In trying to extract our account ending balance, there's two routes you can go. First one is, go in the same way I already went. We type equals account ending balance. But I know we have a lot of controllers. I know we have a lot of accountants on this call. So I'm sure all of you use Excel and have used the insert function icon before. And I just want to emphasize within the category section, you'll notice that we've added 6 new categories: generic inquiries, projects, GL, audit functions, list functions, and write back. So if we click on GL, you'll see every single function you have at your disposal. We're just going to take the account ending balance and really just plugging and playing into the appropriate fields. So we know our connection. Let's take our ledger, right? Let's take a few more, our sub account, and we'll take our financial period. It's also good to mention that you can include unposted transactions when you are reporting. You'll see here showing us, values are already populating, but before I click on OK, I just want to highlight the amount of support that we have available. And, it's really an attestation again to our founder. He really valued the fact that customers want to go off and learn Velixo on their own because it's just adding additional functionalities into a solution that customers already know, Excel. So first thing you'll notice, number one, we're in the account ending balance function because we're actually working on this function. But for every single function we host, this same content is available. You'll see the syntax, you'll see parameters. And let me just scroll down because we have examples. Let me zoom out just for a moment. But you'll see here, we have examples for every single function we host. And this is really just to empower our customers. And you'll see at the end of the presentation, I'll show you where you can find, I believe we have over 90 videos. We'll be able to have access to that already. This was just for one function. I did mention we have about 90 functions. So you'll see for every single function, we have that same content. I'm not going to bore you all by going through those one by one, but I do want to emphasize one last item here, which are the canned reports. So we have reports that have already been created. You can repurpose these and use these if you'd like. A lot of customers do. We have a P&L trial balance worksheet, construction reporting sample pack, AR aging. So you'll have these at your disposal, and I'll actually be going through the P&L, and we'll touch on the construction for those of you here who are using construction or project module with Acumatica. Okay, with that being said, let's put the magic into Velixo, and let's make this look a bit better. All right. So at this point, we have our actuals, we have our financial period, but let's assume we wanted to report as of November. You'll see values update in real time. But I'm sure there's going to be folks here who want to compare one year versus another year. So let's, in our instance, change that to 2019. You'll see once again, values update in real time. And I'm sure you're going to want to compare your actuals to your budget. You might have multiple budgets or forecasts. It is really on how you set up your accounts within Acumatica, which is how the data will be retrieved. And there are values, I believe, in this scenario. Let me just scroll down. Yeah. And one of the nice functionalities you'll see up top here in the additional functions is that you can hide your 0 rows. You can hide your 0 columns as you're building these reports out. Let's go back to actuals, and then let's make this feel like a true trial balance. All right. All right, so we have our variance. This is great. And there's going to be one last functionality I'll mention before we dive in to our sample pack report, where we will be spending the remaining time today. And this is on how you group your accounts together. There's 3 different ways on how to do that. Number 1 is grouping a specific set of accounts. Secondly is looking at ranges. And the third one is the use of wildcards, which allows you to mix and match your accounts as you're grouping them together. You can use this with financials, projects, GIs. It's really up to you. Let's take a look at a first example. Let's say we were looking at 10-100, 10-200, and then 10-300, and we only wanted those accounts. All you will do is put a semicolon in between those given values. Let's copy these cells here and then paste them. And there you go. You'll see a representation of those 3 accounts populate. Let's say we were looking for a range. Let's say we wanted, 10,100 all the way to, let's say, what do I see there? 10,700. Same idea will come to effect. The last one is the use of wildcards, and this is going to be the most utilized function that your team would probably use, and it allows you to mix and match your accounts. Let's say we want any account with a leading 1. We'll put 4 question marks after that because we have 5 total digits. And then let's say we don't want 10,200. And there you go. You'll see the values update in real time. So like I mentioned, this was really the foundation of Velixo, how we started off 5 years ago. I am going to dive into the next piece that you will see, and this is our first sample pack report. And I do want to mention that this report is available to all of you here, so we don't charge for these reports. It's free of charge. We want you to use this as a way to build your own reports. That's the whole idea with Velixo, is we're trying to empower our customers to create what they want to create, because every report that a customer is looking for, they want it in their way. And, not every way is the same way as that unique customers. Okay, so with that being said, we have our report that's populated. You'll see here we have a P&L, trailing P&L, income consolidator report, cash flow statement, trial balance, and we have a few additional reports. And you'll see for this given P&L, we have multiple branches. So let's say I wanted to toggle, let's say we're looking at Service West. You will see the report populate for that given branch in a matter of seconds. You can modify branches for companies, entities, you're making this look and feel the way you want it to. We've even included an icon where you can include or not include your unposted transactions, so at the click of a button. And to make it even better is that you'll see the account mappings that we utilized here, so you'll be able to get a better understanding and feel for these reports as you start creating some of these on your own. With that being said, I'm going to dive into one of our most highly utilized functions. And it's all about the ribbon bar up top here, because we're going to be going through these functions now one by one. The first functionality I want to emphasize is our drill down capability. Put simply, it allows you to click on any cell within any one of your spreadsheets and go to the source transaction directly within Acumatica. So this is that tight integration, but on steroids to a certain extent. So let's say we wanted total operating expenses, and we want to drill down and see a unique transaction. You will see a new sheet that opens up almost instantaneously. It's going to highlight all the transactions, where it's coming from, financial period, branches, description. So you'll have all this really at your fingertips. I do want to highlight how we are connected to Acumatica. So let's go ahead and take this example right here, tool 173, and we want to see this original invoice. We're going to click on View Transaction, where we're going to be prompted to log in. Hopefully you've all saved your credentials, but once you do so, you will see that we will be pushed into the account detail section where this invoice lies. So we'll see 20173, one at the Hilton. And you can get a little bit more granular, and you can click on the reference number where you'll be able to source that original invoice. So as you can see, we went from a cell itself within Excel. I said that 3 times, okay. And then you'll see we transition right away to that invoice really in a matter of, I think it was 3 or 4 clicks. So it's great visibility into any single line item that you need access to, whether it's, monthly basis, quarterly basis, when you're doing reconciliations. Very powerful tool. Let's go back to our report where we do have the ability to drill back. So if we click on 815, it's going to show us exactly where this came from. So if you recall, we started off with total operating expenses. We clicked on drill down. We got to the source transaction directly within Acumatica, opened up the original invoice, and then we drilled back right away to the source cell, which is travel. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive into one of the next functionalities, very popular by demand. And you'll see right up top here, it's called New List. Put simply, it is a reporting vehicle that allows you to distribute your reports in masses. So if you're sending out reports right now, or you're not sending out reports right now, but are looking to do so, this is an absolute machine that will enable you to save time. So if we take a look, This is the sample that we've created, so I can actually walk you through a real life example. When you click on new list, this is the template that does populate. Firstly, you'll see the options on how you can distribute. So you can send immediately, open as draft, or save to draft. I run many of these webinars, so we'll just save to draft for today. Let's go through these columns. I'm not going to go through all of them. We'll go through the main ones that I just want to highlight. First one is the format. How do you want to send these reports out? You want them to be Excels, PDF, dynamic, static report. You have that ability to pick and choose how you want to send these reports out. And what's great is that if you want to send this report out as a dynamic report, someone else who has access to Acumatica, when they themselves log in to their Velixo account, they'll be able to drill down on any unique transaction that you send to them from a given report. So they'll have that same capabilities. And again, it is based on your permission rights that have been set up within Acumatica. Next, you'll see file name, self-explanatory. Tabs, just based on the below sheets here. This is interesting. It comes up every now and then, but you can save your save your reports to an online medium such as SharePoint, OneDrive. So you'll just put the folder path right there. So if you're utilizing Velixo and you want to push everything, where everything can live in the cloud, you can take that a step further with Velixo. Intended recipients. And then let me just scroll to the right-hand side. So I'm going to look at G first. So this one, you can actually put the reports in the body of an email as opposed to an attachment if you'd like, but you can slice and dice these reports even further. So if you're going to have, let's say a CIO who only wants to see the COGS as a line item, you can send them a report that will only showcase that. And then you'll see on the right-hand side a filter. In our instance, if you recall, I showcased a few different branches. You can pick and choose which individual will receive which branch. This can be companies, this can be entities. You can create your own filter at the end of the day, so you can really customize these reports. Once we're at the point where we want to push this back into Acumatica, push this back in and send this out to individuals, we're just going to simply click on distribute all, and then the reports will be sent out in real time. I am only sending about 7 reports out now, so it shouldn't take longer than 45 seconds at the most, as long as my internet is up to par, which it looks like. But as it's sending out, I do want to emphasize one item that comes up every now and again. And the question is, can you automate your reports? The simple answer is yes. The longer answer is that you just have to set this up in your Windows Task Manager. But don't be scared. We have those steps available on our website. And we are doing this ourselves right now for a lot of the reports that we're actually building out. So we use this internally. We've set this up. It's not too labor intensive whatsoever. With that being said, let's take a look at some of these reports that we will go through. So the first one here, line item, let's see, a CFO only wants to see the net sales. You can show that in a report with the click of a button. Second example here, let's zoom out a little bit. It's a little large. You'll see again a report being sent in the body of an email, income consolidator report. And then I'm going to show 2 other examples. Let's populate this report first. You'll see a PDF. This is only sending Service West. So you'll see here, we've removed the budget in this scenario. You have full range flexibility on how you want to send and send out these reports. And I'll show you the last example. It's a consolidated P&L. Gives you a good depiction of the report that you can send out. You'll see here we're just using conditional formatting, but let me just scroll to the second page. And this is why I want to emphasize, we're working within Excel, so you can have pie charts, tables. You can pick and choose how you want these reports to look at the end of the day. You can change the Acumatica logo for your organization's logo. You don't even have to have any Velixo formulas in the report that you're sending out. It's a vehicle at the end of the day that will help you distribute and automate your reports that are being sent out. All right, so with that being said, let's dive into the next tool that I really, really like to highlight, and it's the ability to extract any single generic inquiry that you've created within Acumatica. Very powerful tool. This opens up the door, like I mentioned, to report on anything. With Acumatica, I'm sure most of you are already aware, but you have over 400 GIs, generic inquiries, that are already provided to you. So I'm just going to take a sample of one given scenario, but this is repeatable for any given GI that you have access to. So let's go ahead into our bills and adjustments. You'll see the screen populate, and you don't have to worry. We're not going to move template by any means. We're just going to click on customization up top. We're going to click edit generic inquiry, but we're not actually going to edit anything. I'm only going to copy the title, and then we're going to go back to our favorite tool, Excel. Let's go ahead and copy the bills and adjustments. And now we're back in Excel. We'll type equals generic inquiry, so GI. You'll see a few other options as well. So you can use GI filter, GI lookup. So you'll have all those functionalities that will allow you to retrieve your data more quickly. So let's take GI. And then just like before, we'll put that connection name again. Now let's get out of that screen. All right, let's do this one last time. So here, let's show you this from scratch again. So we'll do equals GI. Then connection. And then we're simply going to paste that inquiry title. And that is all. Just like that, you're going to see this is a live link. You'll see how quickly it uploaded. I think the screen's going to get a little bit small there. Let's zoom in a little bit more. There we go. All right, so you'll see here, bills and adjustments loaded in real time. This is a live view into Acumatica. So if you click on refresh all and you have a new entry, it will automatically update. And I won't take this too far, but I'm just going to show you a simple example how you can vendor status and currency. I'm going to show you a simple example how you can filter through an inquiry, and then you'll never have to export this file ever again. Let's take this example here, and let's say for vendor we wanted just transit, and then for status we wanted only open. We've created another function called the GI filter function. So we'll just create the filter. We put that into the inquiry, and then we are done. So we'll type equals GI filter. And then we're doing the same thing we already did. We're referencing that connection. We're referencing the GI. And then all we're going to do is take the above filters that you see. So we want vendor, that we want was B1, all right. Status, B2. All right. Created the filter, hard part's done. Let's copy this filter and we'll bring this into Excel. All right, so we're going to go back into our inquiry here, and we're just going to put it where it says filter. So all you're going to do the entire time is reference the cell itself where it's explaining exactly how you're going to input this data. And then you'll see now it's going to highlight any transit vendor with a status open, currency USD. I didn't do a filter for USD, but say I wanted to switch the status to close. You'll see this is automatically going to update. And I won't mention this again, but you can have multiple GIs within one given spreadsheet. You can have these reports looking the way you want them and need them to look. With that being said, I will dive into the next functionality, which is the write back tool that you see up top here. Very popular tool. A lot of customers are utilizing. This is the newest functionality we released. And the write back functionality actually came from a customer request. They came up to us and said, hey, it's great that you can extract your data, but we wanted the ability to update our data from Excel directly into Acumatica to automate the processes a little bit more and not have to put in all these manual entries one by one. So we listen to our customers, and that's a big thing about us. And I'm happy to share. If you take a look right next to where it says perform write back, there are 4 different scenarios on how we're going to be able to push back our data from Excel directly into Acumatica. If you take a look at the first example, let's take journal transaction. You will see a new template that populates in real time. So at this point, you can fill out the appropriate columns for your given business. And then all you'll do is simply click on perform write back, and then your journals will automatically be entered into Acumatica. So you don't have to go line by line, every single item. I cannot tell you how many customers are utilizing just the journal transaction function alone. I know not all these fields are required by Acumatica. I believe there's about 7 or 8. So just follow the routine that you're using right now. But whatever you've set up in Acumatica, you'll be able to push back into from Excel. The next sample or example I want to highlight, and this is a real life example, is the budget write back functionality. You'll see here, this is a live example because I actually want to walk your team through this, but you'll see here revenue and expense account. You'll see 2 custom columns that we've created. And if you've used the budget screen within Acumatica, I'm sure you've realized it's very similar to how we've designed our budget, and we did that on purpose. Let's say in our instance that our COGS increased by 25%. You're going to see every given one of those 13 periods, everything updated in real time. Not only that, you were piggybacking off Excel. So if your business, let's say, has to allocate more sales, or you have to allocate more towards period 3 and period 4, that's just using standard Excel functionality. Same idea as if you have to use what if scenarios. And what makes Velixo great is that we can piggyback off some of Excel's core functionalities. And what I really liked is they have a new collaborative scenario where we can create a comment for anyone else who is working on the same file as us. Just make sure that the autosave is on. So I can say, at Taliba, can you please investigate? She's going to receive an email, and then she will be able to action what I've just requested. But you'll have that trail, which in my mind is the best part. So if you take a look on the right-hand side, you'll see who is working on what within which given moment. So it's really great, very useful tool. Once we're at the point where we want to push this back into Acumatica, just make sure that the release icon is, well, for my instance, I prefer to release it once I'm in Acumatica, but you have the ability to release your data right away, but it really is that second line of defense. But once you're ready to press release and push back, all you're going to do is click on perform right back, and then your budget gets pushed back. I do want to emphasize, because this has come up a few times, what if someone pushes something back that they don't have access to? You don't have to worry about that, because again, they don't have access to put right back, and it's based on their permission rights that you've set up already within Acumatica. So if they don't have access, they still won't be able to have access to push this back. All right, I think we're about ready to push this back. Just give me 1 second. One last line item, there we go. And let's push this back because I want to show you how this gets sent. So let's click on perform right back. You'll see the budget is going to be automatically pushed back. It's going to indicate it's complete in about a moment or so. Perfect. Right back has been completed. At this point, we're simply going to go into Excel, into Acumatica. Universal search, we'll type budget release. And this is where the budget will populate. And then all you'll have to do is release your budget here. So we're automating all these manual entries that you would have done otherwise. This itself was the budget write back functionality. I'm going to highlight the last one because, I like to save the best for last. But we have the write back functionality, and this is being able to push back your data into any single import scenario that you have already created. So in our instance, you'll see in our demo environment, every single import scenario that we've created, or it's been created by Acumatica. Let's just take an example. So let's take stock items. If we click on create generic write back worksheet, you will see a template that is going to populate. And this template is populating based on the columns that have already been defined within Acumatica. So here you'll go the same route we already went. You'll fill out the appropriate fields, click on perform write back, and then your budget gets pushed back, or your import or your stock items gets pushed back. It's just really anything that you want to send back. Just have to make sure that these import scenarios already exist. If you make any mistakes, not to worry, it won't allow you to write this back. You'll see an error here and it will stop you. So you don't have to worry in terms of making a mistake and pushing this back into Acumatica. I'm going to touch on just for a moment or so the project. So project sample pack. I want to make sure that everyone here is aware that it's not just financials, it's not just GIs, but we work with the project module as well. And then I'll talk about the support. I'm just going to sign into this environment as well, and I want to emphasize this report sample pack is also available for customers. We take a look at the dashboard. This is just showing, we actually created this about 1.5 years ago for a customer in the construction industry. You'll see all the ongoing projects, dashboard on the left-hand side, just being extracted by the sheets that you see below here. If we pivot on over to the first report, this is a project portfolio report. You'll see in this scenario, we have one given project manager. You can toggle between those project managers where you'll see their ongoing projects, their associated KPIs. their actuals versus their budgets in terms of expenses and revenues. But one item I always like to mention is if you take a look up top at the formula, the reason why I always start with financials and then pivot on to projects at the end is, the same functionalities that we created for financials is now available for projects. We've created functions for projects. So you'll see here, project ending amount, previously used account ending amount, task, cost codes. You'll be able to extract anything that you need. We've created a lot of job cost reports for customers, WIP reports, which I'll show you momentarily. This example here, I like this example because you'll see here, you'll be able to switch between given projects, report up as a given period, and then you'll be able to see the cost code versus, your budgeted amount versus your revised budgeted amount. But you can slice and dice these reports in a way that is working for your team. WIP reports as well. I know this is common for a lot of customers, so I always like to highlight this. And you'll see again, we're just using Velixo functions in conjunction with Excel functions. And then lastly, you'll see the ability to push back your project forecast into Acumatica. So with that being said, I'm going to highlight the last functionality, and it's more of a support resource, and I can't stress this enough. We have videos showing you how to use Velixo top down. You all are fairly lucky because we don't usually get to show these. It's not on our website yet. It will be in the next little bit, but you'll see here, getting started with Velixo, date-based reporting, allocations, reconciliation. All these reports that we build out are based on customer request. So we wanted to make sure that we had all the data available. So you'll see here other videos as well that you have access to. And then on our web pages as well, I always like to go and show you help.velixo.com right up top here. This is where you'll be able to see a lot of the functionalities associated with getting started with Velixo. So videos, some of the items I'm showing you today, you'll be able to already reference. Not only that, how-to guides, but again, the sample reports that you'll be able to reference, it's free, you have access to it, and most importantly, every single function that we host. Again, for us, it's all about empowerment, and for us being able to provide customers with the content that they need has been valuable for our customers. I can say probably 70% of our customers are really off and running with Velixo after they start using it for the first time. Okay, so with that being said, last piece is always the best part. Everyone wants to know what the price of Velixo is. Again, we have an unlimited user model. The price itself is going to be based on your resource tier with Acumatica. So your team might be small business, small, medium, large, Excel, enterprise. Feel free to reach out to Frank or Dean just to confirm that. After they're able to confirm that, they'll be able to provide you with the pricing. But just so everyone here is aware, our model is to be in between 10 to 15% of your entire Acumatica cost. We want to be an affordable product. We don't want to, we're not a solution that charges $30,000, $40,000 for Velixo. That's never the game that we want to get into. We want to make sure everyone who needs access to Velixo will be able to utilize Velixo. So with that being said, if there are any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. But I wanted to thank everyone for giving us the opportunity today to walk you through our Excel-based reporting solution, Velixo.
Well, we actually have one question in our chat box, it seems. Does it follow the rules embedded in Acumatica to prevent non-authorized users from writing back to Acumatica if they don't have that rule? Also, they can't pull data using Velixo into Excel if they are not authorized in a role to see that kind of data?
So the answer is yes to both of those. If they don't have access, they won't be able to pull any of those functionalities. We follow it to a T. So whatever they have access to in Acumatica, they'll have access to, or vice versa, they won't have access to. So 100% yes.
It seems as though that's our only question for now. I can give it a couple of minutes. You can give someone everyone time to add their questions. They can either put them in the chat or you have the option to add them in the Q&A.
Any other questions out there?
We do have one more question. What kind of support do you provide for the cost, phone or chat?
Yeah, so for support, we want to make sure our customers are, supported at the very least. That's one thing that we do pride ourselves on. So we can provide either email support, we can get on a Teams call, video call, if it's, something that, involves you getting set up and making sure that you're able to access Velixo. If you do need assistance with building reports themselves, that's another service that we do add. As you can imagine, that's a little bit over and above the actual license itself. But we have individuals on our team, and I'm sure the Mayor Group team. I believe they have someone certified on Velixo, so they'll be able to support helping build the reports itself. But from a support standpoint of just being able to use Velixo, we will be there to make sure that you have access, whether it's email, video call, and most importantly, and I didn't mention this, but I should. We also have Taliba on the call today, and she is the customer success manager for the Mayor Group. So she'll be all of your direct contact to make sure that you have that support and make sure you have the resources available so you can get what you need.
Excellent. And just to clarify, not sure if we do have someone certified, but I believe we're looking into getting 1 or 2 folks certified.
Yep. Oh, and I forgot to mention, everyone, I apologize. We are running so it's every quarter there's an end of quarter promo. We are running an end of quarter promo this year. So up until the end of, I think it's 10 days or so, we're offering 20% off customers' first year with Velixo. So that's a nice little promo that we're offering.
Excellent.
So perhaps we might want to mention the cost again, because we do have someone who mentioned. Can you please repeat the cost?
Yes, sure. So the cost is solely based on your resource tier with Acumatica. So please reach out to Dean or Frank after the call just to confirm your resource tier. It's based on number of commercial transactions, but it would either be small business, small, medium, large, Excel, or enterprise. And it's just, it's a price based on that functionality.
All right. Well, if we don't have any more questions, thank you very much, Velixo team. Very informative. I know I learned a lot. So very powerful tool. Hopefully the rest of you got something out of it. Again, we will be posting this video out on our website. We will let you know when we do that, if you want to share that with anyone else in your organization. So with that, we'll let you guys go, give you some time back in your day. We appreciate all you joining us, again, taking time out from your busy schedules. Hopefully you found this of value, and we'll be looking to add more of these in the future of other products that we think would benefit you and your companies. So thank you all very much. Have a great rest of the day. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Frank as your primary contacts, and we can get in touch with the Velixo team and go from there.
Perfect. Thank you all.
Everyone.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks again, Dean and Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you.